Look at Wednesday morning South Central. We are watching the remnants of a former typhoon out west through the Bering that is set to impact a large portion of the state. Of course, some of the bigger impacts will be out towards western Alaska. Here across South Central, we will see some rain showers and winds arriving throughout the day. But as far as what we're going to see here over the next couple of hours is fairly quiet conditions for South Central before the rain and the winds will arrive. Now, as far as what we're dealing with outside, you can see not much going on across South Central. Those clouds are thickening up across the region, and we're going to see a gradual return to those rain showers and winds across South Central. Already seeing those gusty conditions out west. So let's go ahead and break down what's going on across the state. You can see these weather alerts that we do have encompassing areas from Bristol Bay all the way north as you head out towards parts of the western Arctic coastline. You can see coastal flooding looking to be the biggest concern. Water levels of 3 to 8 feet plus the high tide. We'll see some of the biggest concerns through Norton Sound and the Yukon Delta. That's also where we could see the potential for some large breaking waves, as well as some coastal erosion and some damage looking likely. Of course, we're also watching for areas of the Unalakleet rivers out towards the Yukon River, likely going to deal with some water backup issues, much like the Kuskokwim River did see earlier this week. And that's all thanks to those high winds, which will gust upwards of 60 miles per hour. So this is what we're seeing across the state. Rain already spreading eastward into the interior and eventually here in South Central. There's that remnants of that former typhoon that's just southeast of Russia. It's building into the northern Bering and then will eventually build into the Chukchi Sea later today into the evening hours. So if you live along the Seward Peninsula, the western Arctic coastline, expect to see increasing impacts through the remainder of today on into the evening hours. So there's the multitude of alerts that we do have across the state. Notice as you head inland, we've got some wind advisories that's in effect for parts of the interior. Those winds could easily gust up to 45 miles per hour as we head through the remainder of today on into your Thursday. Now, some of the strongest winds again will be out west as you head across the Bering Strait coastline out towards Gamble, St. Lawrence. This is where we're going to see those winds up to about 60 miles per hour through the remainder of today. No alerts for South Central, but we will see those winds increasing up to about 30 miles per hour into the afternoon hours. Even higher wind speeds possible into the night as you head out towards western parts of the Kenai, down towards Kachemak Bay as well as Kishmak Bay as we head into the overnight hours. That's where we could see some breezy winds up to about 40 to 45 miles per hour. The rest of South Central should see that activity die down through the overnight. So notice out west, we continue to see that persistent south-southwesterly flow, which is pretty much perpendicular to the coastline. This is why we're going to see the potential for large waves breaking the shore, leading to that coastal erosion, as well as those high surfs, those high surf advisories that we are seeing across the state. So as far as what we're dealing with when it comes to those impacts, again, coastal erosion, rough seas, waves, heights of 4 to 8 feet. Let's break this down for you when it comes to the actual alerts themselves. The western Arctic coast is up under a high surf advisory from this afternoon until tomorrow. That's for water levels of 2 to 3 feet above normal high tide, in addition to large breaking waves of 5 to 7 feet. Now, down through the Bering Strait coast, there is a coastal flood advisory until 6 a.m. Thursday, and there is a high wind warning in effect until 6 p.m. Wednesday. Notice those winds from Nome out towards Savunga. They're already gusting upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. So that's what we can expect to see with those gradually increasing winds. Now, minor coastal flooding is expected along the Bering Strait coast with water levels of 4 to 8 feet above the normal high tide. And then, of course, those winds themselves will be quite gusty up to about 60 miles per hour. Now, eastern Norton Sound and the Nulato Hills is up under a coastal flood advisory until 6 a.m. tomorrow, and that's for the potential for some minor coastal flooding as well, with expected water levels of 4 to 8 feet above the normal high tide. So for fishing villages along the Yukon River, the Unalakleet River, out towards Norton Sound, you'll likely see some of those water backing up along the rivers thanks to that persistent south-southwesterly flow that we continue to see. Down towards Shishmaref, where we are seeing that high surf advisory, that goes into effect here at 10 a.m., lasting until 4 p.m. tomorrow. Water levels of 1 to 3 feet above normal high tide. In addition, Shishmaref could see large breaking waves of 5 to 7 feet. The Yukon Delta, as well as the Kuskokwim Delta, we are seeing coastal flood advisories and high surf advisories. We could easily see wave heights of 4 to 8 feet. So notice those winds. They are continuing to be quite gusty. Here in South Central, we've seen winds in Anchorage up to about 25 miles per hour, and we'll gradually see those winds increasing later today. So these are the impacts that we're going to see across the state. winds and surf are going to be the greatest concern. Rain, yes, we'll see it, but shouldn't bring any issues across the region. So 40 to 60 mile per hour winds out towards western Alaska. This continues today into tomorrow. 45 mile per hour winds in the interior. And then for south central, 25 plus mile per hour winds. Holding on to that plus mile per hour winds for areas out towards the western Kenai, down towards Kachemak Bay, and then as you head out towards parts of Lake and Peninsula. But as far as the rain across south central, 1/4 to 1/2 inch to be expected. Some of the heaviest rainfall with this storm will likely occur out towards the Brooks Range, northwestern parts of the Brooks Range. And of course, the high surf that we continue to watch, that's what's going to lead to not only some coastal flooding, but that erosion that we typically see with these storms. And much like the Kuskokwim River saw earlier this through the weekend into early this week, that water backing up due to those winds, causing that flooding, that's what's going to be possible as you head out towards parts of the Yukon River, the Unalakleet River as well. So keep that in mind through the remainder of your Wednesday into Thursday. So here's what we're going to be tracking through the remainder of the day. You can see that area of low pressure, the remnants of former Typhoon Ampil, moving into the northern Bering, and then eventually making an approach towards northwestern Alaska into the Chukchi Sea through the overnight hours into early tomorrow morning. So while we should see improving conditions from the Yukon Delta down towards Bristol Bay into the evening, we're actually going to see those impacts increase as you head farther north along the Seward Peninsula and into the northwest Arctic boroughs. So you're really going to begin to see your impacts beginning to dwindle as we welcome in the afternoon hours tomorrow. And then rain across south central, again, that arrives later today or later this afternoon into the evening hours, and then we'll see those winds with it as well. Now, while things will still be quite rainy across the state as we close out this week and welcome in the weekend, we should not see any significant issues. It's really today into tomorrow where we're going to see the bulk of our impacts across Alaska. So the rain showers here across south central, they will gradually build into the region through the remainder of today, and then you can see it kind of tapers off and levels out as we welcome in your Thursday morning. We could still see some lingering showers tomorrow, but most of what we're going to see will occur today into the overnight hours. So again, winds gusting up to 30 miles per hour. Notice we're really going to see that towards the afternoon into the evening. And again, just a reminder as we welcome in the overnight hours, as this frontal system pushes eastward across the state, we will see our winds shift from the south back out of the northwest. So with this occurring, we'll likely see tonight into the early hours tomorrow morning to expect stronger wind gusts upwards of 35 miles per hour through Cook Inlet down through Kachemak Bay as well as Kamishak Bay is where we're going to see the bulk of those winds later this afternoon across south central. And then looking at that precip total, by no means is this going to be a prolific rainfall event. We're just going to be talking about anywhere from 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain. Certainly looking like some of that heavier activity will be through the valley out towards Prince William Sound and then of course the Copper River Basin. If you live south of the Sterling Highway, you'll still see those winds today, but rain doesn't look as promising, maybe just some hit or miss showers to be expected through the remainder of the day, which brings us to the close of this week and into the weekend. And we've got several people asking what the weekend is going to shape up to be. We'll get to that here in just a few seconds. You can see 2024 precip totals for Anchorage is sitting at 13.03 inches. That does include our melted snowfall from earlier this year. And right now we're sitting at the 4th wettest year through August 20th. So certainly has been some wet weather. So closing out this week, welcoming in the weekend, you can see 60 degrees Friday. We are watching some rain showers looking possible across south central both Saturday and early Sunday morning. Not everyone will see it. I'm pegging just a few locations. We'll see that potential for some showers, but it will stay with us. And temperatures actually trending on the cooler side as we close out August. We'll likely see more days in the 50s and less days in the 60s. So we'll be watching that temperature trend as well. But again, showers and winds today. That tapers off into our Thursday. We'll see some sunshine tomorrow, and then those clouds build right back in as we welcome in the weekend with a chance for some rain in the forecast. And that continues into Tuesday as well. Tuesday likely will bring a better chance for seeing some rain. But of course, that is the latest on the remnants of former Typhoon Ampil. Of course, we'll have more on that coming up in the noon show and then the evening newscast. Just be cautious if you're heading out later today, particularly out towards western Alaska, and be prepared for the potential for some minor flooding. And again, here in south central, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain does look likely through the remainder of the day. Leaving you with one final quick look overlooking from Eagle River. You can see those overcast skies building in across the south central.